Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Risa, and this is Talent Talk.
On today's show, we have acclaimed artist Jay Allen, but before we get to our interview with him,
you have to check out this incredible video for his song, Mustang on Mud Tires.
Town, water tower dripping on the dirt. We were kicking up John Deere, green truck, James Dean, leather jacket. Wasn't your typical backwoods boy. Call it southern with a little bit of swagger. I was Matchbox 20 means old Merle Haggard. Windex, C-cup, Woodford, old fashioned. Wasn't making typical backwoods noise. And that's why you love this boy. I'm a wrapping barbed wire, a highway with the bonfire on it, a back road, backbeat, camouflage concrete, a Mustang on wood tires. I'm an insider on the outskirts, I like to mix a little city in my red dirt. Yeah, I'm riding both sides of the county line. I'm a Mustang on wood tires. Yo, give it up for Nate Kenyon.
Girl, what you think about a small town slow roll? Couple laps to run away back for low. Trucks jacked and the jets cracked in the back on ice with a couple plastic solos. And the skin tight shredded. Gotta cut your boy crossing his fingers if you get it. Let him have a few miles to prove these boots can drive you wild. Yeah, they got boogie in his school. Go out on a limb, let me take it to the roof of my upbringing. We can do a little Brooks and Dunn singing while we dust kicking. It's a must have been when you're in a two-lane one horse. But I ain't no one-chick pony. We can hit a ATL in the morning and you can get to it only.
High-rise wrapping barbed wire, a highway with the bonfire on it, a back road, backbeat, camouflage concrete, a Mustang on wood tires. I'm an insider on the outskirts, I like to mix a little city in my red dirt. Yeah, I'm riding both sides of the county line. I'm a Mustang on wood tires.
hi, this is Will Nunziata, and I'm so thrilled to be once again joined by my better half, Risa Binder, for another edition of Talent Talk. Today's guest is the acclaimed artist, the one and only Jay Allen. Hello, Jay, how are you?
Hey, how are y'all doing today? Good to be on here.
I feel like we've done this before. I mean, you know, I feel like we've all met. You're such a relatable, nice, talented dude of the planet. And I'm so excited that the audience just got a sneak peek of your latest tune through your music video for the song Mustang on Mud Tires. Before we get into that, I know my better half, Risa Binder, has question numero uno.
Yes, Jay, I've been following you for a while online, but I don't know like the backstory of what brought you to Nashville. You know, I feel that Nashville calls you. Do you feel the same? And what's kind of your story on how you got here?
Yeah, how much time do y'all got? You know, I was actually a late bloomer. I actually did everything in my power to not come here to Nashville. Honestly, I grew up in a small town in Iowa. My dad co-owned a restaurant, a little like cafe, country cafe. It was like coffee and like hash browns and eggs. Old dudes would come in every morning. I kind of grew up in this cafe, right? In this restaurant. My mom was a waitress for my dad. So really early mornings. And I remember, you know, sitting with all the old guys and drinking coffee when I was far too young to be drinking coffee. And this couple came in, they started coming in, they're regulars. And they started, I guess you'd call it witnessing to my parents and inviting them to church. And long story short is my parents grew up, they kind of had a bad experience, you know, growing up in church. And so they associated church with like this negative feeling. And these people just kept working on them. Eventually they said, well, how about, you know, we bring your son to Sunday school? And so they allowed that. And I started going to church every Sunday with this couple. They picked me up from my parents' house on Sunday mornings. This couple ended up becoming like a second set of parents to me. And I started working on his farm. You know, I'd be up before the sun, you know, I'd go work on the farm, then I'd go to school, then I'd go to practice, then back to the farm. And so I kind of grew up in the church because of that. And I ended up becoming a worship leader. And believe it or not, before I got all the skull tattoos. But I did that for a long time. It led me to Savannah, Georgia. And I was like a music minister, I guess, at a mega church there. And I ended up getting a record deal as a Christian artist. under a different name, which we're not going to talk about. So I lived this whole other life. But there was a circumstance where I kind of had to make a tough decision to go back to Iowa. And the girl that I was with at the time, my ex, she woke me up one morning and said, I feel like you need to go to Nashville. Otherwise you never will. And you'll always, resent the fact that you never tried it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that whole thing. I've just heard so many horror stories, people getting their hearts broke. And finally, about 2 weeks later, she had convinced me and worked on me enough to convince me to do it. And I had a lease still in Des Moines, Iowa at this condo. She said, well, I'm going to stay. And we can FaceTime and we can, have a phone call every day and stay in touch and try to just make it happen. You get your feet on the ground and get settled into Nashville. So I actually moved without my ex. I'll just go ahead and say it. We were married at the time. And she, for 4 months, I tried really hard to, keep the communication line open with her, but she kind of drifted away, and I was sending rent to her every month while I was still getting on my feet. And I ended up almost getting a record deal right off the bat, and started experiencing the networking here in Nashville. And as I was like, kind of, I guess, planting my seeds here in Nashville, my wife was drifting away from me. At the end of it, that 4 months, the end of the lease, she still decided she wanted to come to Nashville, even though we weren't talking at all. So it's very strange. I moved her to Nashville, and a couple weeks in, she broke the news to me that she had been having an affair on me. So getting real nitty gritty here, kind of, and then I found out I wasn't getting the record deal. So like I had my heart broken immediately here in Nashville, which is what I was scared to death to do. But I was, maybe like 6 months into Nashville, and I was like, I'm done. I'm going back to Iowa. I didn't, I was so heartbroken already. I was like 6 months in. If I feel like this, there's no way I'm going to last. So I said I was going to play one last show. Played a show in town. I get off stage, and Billy Currington, a really well-known country artist, he happened to be there at the bar with his girlfriend, and he comes around the bar and he goes, Jay, I've never heard of you before, but I heard you sing. I watched your whole set. I just have to tell you, buddy, don't quit, just stay. He said, I was in Nashville for 9-10 years working at a concrete company before anyone recognized me. He gave me a shot. So literally that is the reason why I stayed. Ended up separating with my wife at the time, and we went our separate ways. I don't speak negatively of her at all. I wish her the best, and I learned so much from it. But around that same time, I met Miss Kylie Morgan. Kylie and I are now engaged 7 years later, and going to get married next year. So I ended up I just kept at it, got my first pub deal that led to another pub deal, led to another pub deal, and now I have a record deal. So I just stuck it out, and it kind of the way that it kind of happened for me is pretty organic. When I first moved to Nashville, it was like everyone said, you got to write, to get the deal, to get on radio, the tour, blah, 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 blah. The first time I actually wrote a song that wasn't for me, it was at a heartbreak for my mother was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And I wrote a song about it to, help fight for her and her life and, out of therapy. And that's the thing, that's the song that got me recognized. She was the most selfless human being on the planet. And still the one time I tried to do something for her, she still found a way to turn it around and help me find success in this world. So that's kind of long story short, but that's how it kind of all led to where we are now. So
absolutely beautiful, Jay. And I think you're a testament, Jay, not only for artists out there, but humans. I don't know what the adage is or the saying, but it's like just when it's darkest, just when you're about to give up, there's usually that little glimmer of light, that glimmer of hope. And the fact that you speak so well of your ex-wife, because obviously within the work you've done on yourself, you've also forgiven anyone that might have harmed you. But at the end of the day, she obviously clipped your wings to allow you to make those steps that you needed to take. But at the same time too, within the heartbreak of not only divorce, but your mom and what you had to go through with that, with the record deals falling through, it was almost as if your heart broke to be reignited, to reopen again. And not only to your music, but to your love. And I want to kind of buoy into Mustang on Mud Tires, because for me, I've been a fan of you for as many weeks as I know you've been on this you know, that I knew you were going to be on the show. And it seems like for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but for Mustang on Mud Tires, it not only is a great representation of your love of who you are, because you unapologetically fuse this rock sensibility with country, you being authentically you, without any sort of, oh, I have to be a second-rate version of the country star that probably people, no, F that. You're being you, one. Two, I also think Mustang on Mud Tires is a perfect example of the love that you get to share with another amazing artist who also happens to be your fiance. So I think almost a song is like the perfect storm of everything coming together. Am I crazy? And that was me. Long story short, Will, maybe I'll take a breath. God bless.
No, Will, you nailed it, man. Basically, you know, when I moved to Nashville, everyone did that whole deal to me. Industry people, they're just like, you're too rock, you know, like, you know, your tattoos and, you know, not country enough. I actually, for the first 5 years, would like try hard to have a thicker accent, you know, and just to look and dress country and cover up my tattoos. I got to a point where I realized, I think it was when the whole blank stares thing happened with my mother, I realized when I was the most vulnerable and the most me and like chest ripped open, you know, heart for everyone to see, all the nitty gritty, dirty shit inside that, you know, no one talks about. When I finally showed that, that's when people connected.
That's what's relatable. That's what's relatable.
Yeah, I think, you know, yeah, people are like, you know, he is a real guy, you know, and I'm not trying to cover up anything anymore. I'm not gonna play.
I love that. And have you heard this saying? I have to share this because it's coming to me, but have you heard the saying that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime? Have you ever heard that? Because I
love that.
But I had never heard it. But when your ex-wife, if she didn't wake up one morning and just say, hey, get your butt to Nashville, like that could have been the reason. And you were with her for that season. Do you know what I mean? And it sets you up for this lifetime that you're walking into with Kylie and things like that. I think that there are no coincidences. And I think it's so beautiful that your mom and this song is the song that opened the doors for you. I think reason, season, lifetime all over what's going on here. Just my thought. but
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think the older I get, the more, you know, I used to like be like, I'm just moving forward. I'm trying to get to that goal. And now I check my rearview mirror every now and then, and I realize, well, shit, that's why I went to that, you know, because it made me who I am right now. Or that's why I had to, you know, deal with that person, or why they came into my life, because it prepared me for this next person, you know. So I 100% agree with that. And I think we all see that and experience that and recognize that the older we get. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
I love it, Jay. Well, we're going to deep dive into that song Blank Stares that you wrote for your mom in a little bit. But first, Risa and I have a question that we've been waiting all but 10 minutes to ask you. Mr. Jay Allen, are you ready for game time?
Let's go, baby.
Well, Jay, today's your lucky day because today's game is the numbers game. Risa has our numbers book. They're in Nashville. Risa,
yes.
Ask him a question.
Jay, do you have a lucky number or a significant number in your life? And tell me what it is if you do.
Yes, it is 42. This is cliche, but it was my sports number for any sports I played growing up. So kind of stuck. I kind of see it everywhere. Kylie and I both have lucky numbers and we see them all the time. It's a weird thing. And now I call my music company 42 Company. So yeah, it's kind of just stuck with me. And yeah, I see it all the time. So
I love that. I'm a huge sign person too. So let's find cool. 42. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so here's 42. What popular vacation destination has absolutely no interest for you? It's kind of a turn. Where's a place tons of people go that? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about going to like cold places like Alaska or like, I'm just like, why? You know? I'm like, why? When there's beaches, you know, like Kylie and I love to go to we go to Fort Myers all the time. That's a whole nother story. Fort Myers, Florida, Fort Myers Beach. I have basically a lady like basically adopted me. She literally looks at me as son, calls me son. I call her mother. When my mother passed away, we by happenstance just made good friends because I got invited to play a songwriters festival down there, and she came and invited us on her boat. She happened to have a 70-foot yacht. I ended up we got drunk on this yacht together, and I played her songs for her husband and her friends the whole night. And so anyways, long story short, we go to warm places like that all the time. I don't get why anyone would want to go on a vacation to a cold place. It sounds miserable. I hope that answers your question.
So Jay, there is, the fantastic, amazing song that you wrote called Blank Stares. And I'd love to know more about the process of writing that, how you wrote it. And then if you wouldn't mind playing us out with some of it, we would be honored to have you do that. Okay.
I'd love to. Yeah. So it is a long story. I'll wrap it up as quickly as possible.
We love stories.
Okay, story time then. So, like I said, I grew up in a small town in Northeast Iowa. I left when I was pretty young, lived in Savannah, ended up in Nashville. So I've been in Nashville for probably about 4 or 5 years at this point. And I get a phone call from my dad one morning. It was about my mother. So he's in Iowa, I'm in Nashville. He says, Jay, I think I need to let you know that your mother called me crying this morning. She was crying because she was on her way to work, which she's gone to the same place of work for like 20 years. She was driving and she had to pull over on the side of the road because she forgot where she was going, and asked for him to come pick her up. And so he said, I had to pick her up. And he said, things like that have been happening quite frequently. And I was like, that sounds like dementia or Alzheimer's, right? He said, yeah, I need to get checked out. So she was officially diagnosed with what's called early onset Alzheimer's when she was age 51. Whoa. Shortly after that, my dad calls me again. He says, Jay, I feel like it's my obligation as your father to make sure you get some good time with your mother before it's too late, before this progresses any farther. So she was deathly afraid to get on a plane. So they decided to drive. That's a 10.5-hour, 11-hour drive from Iowa to Nashville. And every 2 hours, he would call me. He'd say, Jay, prepare your heart for this. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever experienced in your life. Every 2 hours. And I was just like, what are you talking about? But I'll tell you what, you can't prepare for your own mother to walk in the door of your home and look you in the eyes and look right through you and not have a clue who you are. I was her oldest. I was her only son. She raised me to believe that I was like the center of the world, like I was this special thing, untouchable, invincible, right? And in that moment, she was gone and she didn't know who I was. And I was more than just broke my heart, made me sad, it pissed me off. I was like, Dad, I was like, yo, I don't know how to deal with this right now. We need to get out of here. Let's go drinking or dancing, whatever. So I was trying to make light of it. So Pop's got Mama all dolled up, and we took her out to this well-known venue here in Nashville called the Sutler Saloon. I love it. Yeah, Sutler's awesome. So I'd heard about the power of music, but I never experienced it up until this point. So we walk up to the venue, open the front door, take one step in, and people that have dementia, especially, this, type of Alzheimer's, they have this blank look in their eyes, like they're not present, like they're not with you, that, like they don't know what's going on at all. The moment she saw the band, my mother, and heard the music, I swear to God, that went away. And she was with us. She was trying to talk. She was trying to dance. She wanted to go inside. So like I said, I'm the oldest. I've always been a fixer in my family for some reason. If there's a problem, I'm going to find a way to solve it. So I took advantage of that moment when I saw that she kind of came to. I grabbed her by the hand and I pulled her to the front of the venue, right in front of the stage. And we started slow dancing to a fast song. And the guitarist kind of picked up on it, slowed down the band, started doing this like really worshipful thing on the guitar. And, a couple steps in, my mama started rubbing my back, and then she just kind of leaned in and she whispered in my ear, Jay, I've missed you so much, son. I love you. And I was like, what? It's like, Jay, I miss you so much. I love you. And she was with me for that moment, right? And they stayed for a couple weeks. And I get to write songs for a living. I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to do this, but I got to work really hard at it. And it doesn't come naturally, to be honest. But that morning when they took off, they head back to Iowa. I'm standing in my kitchen in Nashville, and I get a line that just comes to my head. It's drilling me and I can't shake it. Literally like sipping a cup of coffee, and this line just, and it goes like this. It says, I still see you between the blank stares. I still see you, mama, between the blank stares. I'm gonna fight for you. And this whole song just came to me, came rushing over me. So I took it to my buddy. I was signed to Sony at the time. I took it to my buddy, and we wrote this song in a day on Music Row here in Nashville at Sony. And literally, like, I come in and I just sit down. He's one of my good friends, Jason Nix, big old beard, amazing voice, amazing instrumentalist. And I just held up my phone. I played him this voicemail from my mother that she had left me on my birthday. And she just like forgot, like halfway through the voicemail, she like hung up because she like forgot even why she forgot like why the phone was even in her hand, who she was talking to, what she was doing. So I kept that voicemail to kind of keep reminding me that, you know, this is real. I need to fight for mom. Let's listen to it every day. So I just played him the voicemail. And he goes, who's that? I said, that's my mom, and she's really sick, man. Today I want to write a song for her. I don't know why. If anything ever happens with this song, just make me a promise that we're just going to give all the proceeds away to help fight against Alzheimer's. He said, yes, sir, I'm all in. That day we wrote that song. When you write a song, when you're signed to a publishing company, when you're done with the song, you turn it into your publisher. So we sent it out in an email. 3 days later, I get a phone call from a 615 number. That's Nashville. I pick up, and it's Troy Tomlinson. At the time, Troy Tomlinson was the president of Sony ATV. And he told me who he was. I was like, what's up? He goes, well, Jay, I'm up in my office here at Sony, and I'm with 3 hit songwriters, and we're all listening to your song. And I'm kind of just crying over it. He goes, you don't know this, but my father passed away from Alzheimer's, and I took care of him for the last 5 years of his life. This song has just touched me today. He goes, if you don't mind, I'd like to get it to some really important people. But you have to make the promise with me right now, verbally, that you'll give away all the proceeds to help fight against Alzheimer's. And I said, yes, sir. So very shortly after that, they started blasting it on Sirius XM, the highway. And then I started getting contacted by the National Alzheimer's Association and started playing what's called galas. So the very first gala I ever performed at, told my story to sing the song, was what they call Celebrity Gala. It was in San Diego, San Jose, California. No, San Diego. I walk in, I'm literally like dressed like this, like tattoos out, like I'm drinking a gin and tonic, and everyone's like in suit and ties and like cocktail dresses. I'm like, wait, I'm in the wrong place, man. And we're sitting in the back, and all of a sudden the event coordinator for this gala comes around, and she goes, there's one more person I want to introduce you to, Jay. I played him your song Blank Stares, and he's really intrigued by you and wanted to meet you. And so I turned around, didn't even look, and I just shook his hand, and then I looked up and I was like, holy shit, you're Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks was there, and I was like, what the heck? Okay, I get why they call it a celebrity gala now. So everyone kind of sat down. Brad Paisley's wife, Kim Paisley, the famous actress, introduced me on stage. I get on stage and with my band, I tell the story, sing the song, and this really cool thing happened. This is when I realized how powerful this song was, and this was kind of a glimpse as to what was going to happen, a precursor. At the end of it, literally not a dry eye in the place, including myself. Everyone in that room, it didn't matter who you were, how famous you were, how much money you had, how successful you were. We were all bound together in that moment, and all had this common thread amongst us that we had lost someone or were losing someone to this disease. And everyone stood up. We're all clapping and crying. And it was really cool. Garth Brooks came on stage and he hugged me. He said, Jay, you tell Sherry Lynn, your mother, that Garth Brooks is praying for her, thinking of her, and for your family. And I think that event raised like $12 million. Oh my God. And that was just like the beginning. I just kept doing them. This has been a weird year because the National Alzheimer's Association hasn't done any galas the last 2 years. So or like year and a half. So it's been strange, but for like 2 years straight, I nonstop played all the galas all around the country. over a very short period of time, the song went on to raise over $40 million to go towards the National Alzheimer's Association. And I could not be more proud of it. It really, I think people pray for a purpose. Some people spend their whole life looking for a purpose. I feel like, at least for this season of my life, has become my purpose, and it's brought me a lot of joy. It's really fulfilled me, and it's helped me kind of get through losing my mother in a way where I can help other people. So yeah, it's we've turned a really sad thing into something beautiful, and I couldn't be more proud of it. So.
Well, Jay, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And Teresa's beautiful analogy before, I'm going to add something to it, is, I can feel your mom with you now more than ever. And I don't know how spiritual you are, but I can only imagine that your mom had a lot to do with all of these pieces coming together, and now forever. She'll always shed that light in those dark times, and incredibly moving. And thank you for being like so vulnerable. And I think of the young Wills and the young Risas of the world. And I know, Risa, we're close enough where I can speak on your behalf with this. I wish I had someone like you to look up to when I was little. Someone who is as relatable as you, in that gala with penguin ties, and there you are with your tats and your shirt, being unapologetic and just being authentically you. It's a beautiful thing, my friend.
Thank you. Very kind of you to say. Thank you, Will.
And on that note, if you wouldn't mind playing just a little bit of your beautiful hit song, Blank Stares.
There's a voicemail that I would keep. I listen to it just to hear you speak. Hey son, turns to silence just like that. No, I love you, oh goodbye. Like you saw the phone in your hand and you didn't know why. It's crazy how you come and go so fast. Oh, how do I get you made? If I could only see the cracks you're slipping through. Wish I didn't feel so helpless when it comes to helping you hold on. So I keep holding on to every little memory made of you and me. Every little glimpse of who you used to be. I know you're still in there. Deep down somewhere, I swear I still see. Between the blank stares, it's the first thing that I think about when I wake up and when I lay down. It's the last thing I feel crawling through my mind. I'm still trying to understand it, sitting next to you, holding your hand and hoping you won't fade away this time. Just stay a little while, please stay a little while. If I could only see the cracks you're slipping through. Wish I didn't feel so helpless when it comes to helping you hold on. So I keep holding on. Every little memory made of you and me. Every little glimpse of who you used to be. I know you're still in there. Deep down somewhere, I swear I still see you. Between blank stares, it's getting harder and harder to watch you disappear. Oh, you're falling farther and farther and leaving me in tears. If I could only see the cracks you're slipping through. Wish I didn't feel so helpless when it comes to helping you hold on. But I keep holding on to every little memory made of you and me. Every little glimpse of who Yeah, I still see you between the blank stares, between the blank stares, between the blank stares.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. Go, Risa.
You know, I have to tell you something, and I hope I'm not overstepping. I'm going to try not to cry through what I'm saying, although I probably will. And we can probably cut this out if you want to.
No, no, go ahead, Risa. You're fine,
but,
baby.
Okay. So I'm a newish parent. My baby is 3, and I've never been a mom before. But I have to tell you, sorry, that even when her mind was going, I think that love for your child is literally limitless, and energy. It's just energy. And so even though your mom slipped mentally, literally your mom is this close to you right now, because the power of a parent to child love goes beyond death 1,000%. And you'll feel it when you and Kylie have kids too. You'll feel it as a dad, I promise you. So I'm sorry, but I just needed to share.
Well, congratulations on being a new mama.
Well, thank you, but it's hard to explain. It's just a limitless. It's Liel, my daughter, she's been saying to me recently, will you stay with me always? And I tell her, I will stay with you beyond that. I will stay with you beyond always. And you will too.
Jay, thank you for sharing your talent. Thank you for sharing your life through your songs. And already at such a young age, I think about the legacy you're already leaving for you, your family, your soon-to-be wife, your soon-to-be, well, I don't know soon-to-be, I have to ask Kylie, one day babies. I'm not going into that. That's for a whole other talent talk, Jay, Mr. Jay. But I want to thank you so much for joining Risa and me today on Talent Talk. And God bless you, my friend. Truly, God bless everything that you do.
Oh, thank you. It was absolutely a pleasure. Y'all are angels. And thank you for being real with me as well. Y'all are friends now. We're family now.